The sound in this car never gets old. Like, I love it. I absolutely love it. So we'll go for a little drive. So I will go through this with you. This isn't a car review video. This is my personal experience driving and owning a Mustang for 4,000 miles and about 6-7 months. So I'll give you my personal experience, what's gone wrong with my personal experience, the car buying procedure with Cazoo. I'll give you the pros and cons of that and give you my personal experience of Mustang ownership. Should really get rid of these. We all saw what happened to my TT when I flooded it by not cleaning the leaves out of the scuttle, and all that water went flowing into my car, iced up in the car, and it stunk for months. But yeah, that's the beast. That's the beast right there. Not bad, not bad. Got all these Ford people hating me for that, but so just give you a quick tour around. So on this, all the finish on this car. So we got little things like this, which might not seem a lot, but when you're dealing with it every day, stuff like that, like it just pops off. Like, for a 30 grand car, the finish is dreadful. Like, so many panel gaps. Like, panel gaps, like, are not consistent around the car. So you've got stuff like that going along under the door. Rust. How do you have rust on, like, a 5-year-old car? Like, in the heat, when we had that, what was it, the heat wave this year, all of this started to go a totally different size because you got, it's all plastic. So along here, all the panel gaps changed over the course of that one little heat wave. So it makes you worry about the build quality of the car. So along here, totally different panel gap. And if you run your finger along it, it's not consistent. It's like one bit's up, one bit's down. We go to the bonnet. And along here, common Mustang problem apparently, according to the owners clubs. Look at that. You see that? It's rust. And on the other side, going along there, rust on like a 5-year-old car. I mean, you see little bits in there going across. But yeah, it's a strange one, right? How'd you have rust on such a new car? So we go to the front, the panel gap across here, it's all lumpy bumpy. So you feel it, and it's like this. Like, it should just be flat. So the panels on that car, on this car, are very, very strange. So yeah, continuing, may sound like I'm moaning, I'm sure it's first world problems, but there are little problems with this car that shouldn't be a thing on a car of this price range, and they're right in your eye line. Like, so look at this, I can see the clip through here. So I hope you can see this on the air vent, it should be here. So that's right in my eye line. The screen here, so we'll start this up so you can see. Across this instrument cluster, So this screen is square, but because the dials are circles, this isn't built for this car. So if you look, you can't see the mileage at certain angles because this is cutting across a square part of the screen. It's not built for this car. It's just like off of a, you know, what is it, a Transit or Connect or whatever. But yeah, so it cuts off part of your view, only slightly, but it drives you crazy. On here, you might be able to see this. It looks like that I can pick the sticker out of there. So it's where they've just put it on, like the chrome surround, it's just stuck there and all the little excess hasn't been trimmed. So, but I can see it. Every time I'm looking at the speedo, I can see that. It drives me mad. And I'm just picking it, constantly picking it, not paying attention to where I'm driving. We'll show you some other faults with this car. If this car, like this is the thing, if this car was an automatic, it would be fantastic with these cup holders. But if you're driving and you're going through, if it's auto, you don't have to worry. If it's manual, especially the UK, because this, do you see the problem? So when you're going fast, I mean, this is not me exaggerating that, that's bad. Like, that is just bad. Can't have everything, but it's a problem. On to more stuff that is not great. The plastic. So we'll scroll across this. These plastics are rubbish. Like, they are rubbish. It's like aluminium wood. It's like a plastic version of aluminium wood. It's horrible, absolutely horrible. And again, they don't fit properly. They pop off on the side. Constantly, they just pop off, especially in hot weather. So things to note if you're buying one of these, things to note. It does come with back seats. It says it's a 4-seat car. That is the legroom you get. Right? So it's got these seats in there. Right, for reference. So we'll just squeeze this in here. Like, that is your legroom. That's your legroom if you get in this car. I've never had people in the back seats. They do not fit. Like, that will not be a comfortable long distance drive. So I'll show you this. Under the seat. So when you have a VIN number on a car, like all these sort of stickers and bits and bobs, you have a VIN number hidden on the car. On this Mustang, I don't know if it's the same on any others, I haven't spoken to the owners guys about this, but this is where it is, under the seat, and it's just, they cut a hole in the carpet. Like, that's where they hid that. So no attempt to hide it, and now I've got cut carpet. Like, is that the same on all of these? Like, you're gonna have to help me here. So if, like me, you go for a lot of sunglasses for one reason or another, Bartek, this car has a sunglasses holder, so you can take your sunglasses off, and just down here, there you go. Perfect. Works really well. And you don't realize how much, or I didn't realize how much I would use that. And when I'm driving, I just leave it open. So that's actually well handy. I've never had a car that has that before. And that's like 60, 70 cars in now. Let's get on to the sat-nav. The sat-nav in this car is the worst sat-nav I've ever used in a car. Now, this is first world problems, right? Well, you can see that we're in Folkestone. Look at us. And this is my new area. This is where I live now. I moved here. So It's the worst sat nav I've ever used in a car ever. Now, you can't comprehend how bad it is when it tells you to make U-turns on motorways. It tells you to go one way down, the wrong way down a one-way road constantly. We got a load of that on the Kew Gardens video that I literally couldn't show because I was swearing so much and it would have been banned. On here, so we got loads of menus for stuff like navigation settings and all this stuff. Like, for whatever reason, it says traffic preferences, navigation, route preferences, all this stuff, and this, none of it works. Like, none of it works at all. Like, avoid toll roads, nope, it just sends you straight down toll roads. Like, it doesn't understand low emission zone for London. It doesn't understand congestion charge for London. That went straight down there. Bridge tolls, we did one on the way to Download or Bloodstock or whatever that one was. It just sends you wherever. Motorways, it's avoid motorways. No, that literally, it does not do what you tell it to do. I've tried updating it. Before we get into this, I have tried updating it. It freezes and says it can't do it. Like, they give you a memory card thing, that didn't work either. So whatever this system is for this model of Ford, it is shockingly bad. Like, shockingly bad. But yeah, I would recommend getting the model above with the sync free. Whatever this is, it's dreadful. To get into the boot, you've got one under there, one on my key, one in the front. So loads of ways to actually do that, which is pretty cool. But it's massive. So I've got a speaker in there, like, so we've got a sub. Ignore my work boots. But yeah, it's huge. I mean, we got loads of room in there. Ambulance jacket. But absolutely massive. So the actual practicality of it is really, really good. That's what came with it. Not much under there. A couple of weird receipts and stuff. But well good for practicality. I mean, the ride height's really good. This is another thing. So we can take speed bumps at usable speeds. It's not like an impractical car like that. We can drive along, bounce over the speed bumps. I don't have to slow down, really. It's got a soft enough ride that it actually is all right. So in terms of practicality, to get into the boot, you just pull this down and we're in there. So I've actually moved house using this car. So you can picture there's guitars and all kinds of amps and bits and bobs that I've taken to Folkestone from London. I used a Mustang to move house, so it is practical. That thumbs up. Since I own the car, I reset the clock. So every mile that I've ever driven in it, bar the first 80 miles back from Southampton to London, has been clocked on this. So I'll freeze frame this so you can actually see it. And on there, it's pretty good MPG, which sounds mad when you're actually thinking it is a 13 on the books mile to the gallon car. You can see that it's averaged over 4,000 miles, 21 miles to the gallon. On long distances, you'll easily hit 35 miles to the gallon in a 5-litre Mustang. As long as you're on the motorway, you can actually make it pretty good. There are ways to obviously minimize your spend on petrol. It sounds insane, doesn't it? I will say this, you can get it down to very, very low single figures with a heavy right foot. That is a thing that just is what you're going to be doing. You're going to be driving this bad. crack the aircon on. So onto the aircon. And a big issue with this car. Everyone thinks they can take the fucking piss out of you when it comes to money. Aircon being a good example. We had a heat wave a little while ago in the UK. Naturally, the aircon in this goes down. I've owned it, what, at this point, 4 months. It's not covered by warranty because it's just gone out, and I bought a 2-year warranty with Cazoo. It's not covered by that either. I'll put the invoice on the screen now and tell me if you think this is a good invoice. I was very much ripped off, I believe. £370 odd quid to fix aircon. It was just a regas. Like, everyone wants to take the piss out of you with this car in terms of that. So now I have fully working aircon for 370 quid. Wonderful. In weather like this, when you're by the beach, it's lovely and essential. Since that, it's had 3 car washes since I've owned this car. Every single one has been totally different price to what is on the board. So you'll go in, you'll see 15 quid. You go to buy the car wash, suddenly £20. It's like, what? Like, why is that? Oh, it's a special car. I've had that 3 times at 3 separate car washes. So I had one literally yesterday, because the car is never this clean, ever, like ever this clean. And the guy goes, it's extra dirty. Who cleans a clean car? So yeah, that was my other experience with this car. So yeah, I should add, with that Cazoo warranty, if it was the full compressor, they said that they was going to pay it. They wouldn't pay for the exploration on the warranty, and like, you know, to see what the issue was. They wouldn't pay for any of that. So yeah, I was stuck with £370. I'm sure by now you would have heard of Cazoo. Strange way to buy a car. Very, very strange way to buy a car. It doesn't feel like a normal car buying process, because it isn't. You just buy it online, turn up and get it. There was no faff. It was pretty good. However, my personal experience with Cazoo, and this is where it goes very, very wrong. Initially, I thought it was well. I thought it was going well. I was having a good time, got the car. They pulled the tarpaulin off, and you can see that on the video. They pulled that tarp off. So I just get splashed by my own drink. Lovely. So my personal experience with Cazoo, they pulled this tarpaulin off, and the tarpaulin comes off. I'm still blown away by the car. I go round onto the right hand side of the car, where the person that was filming at the time didn't manage to capture it on video. But you can see my reaction at the time, and I go, there's a dent there. There was a dent on the car, and they put the tarp, like the cover on it, whether that was to hide it or whatever. But I was like, what are we going to do about that? Like, just a clear, like, mark. Yeah,
it's been admired once I think we've had it here about 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, had a little thing.
We've been looking at this, yeah.
Like, only tiny, but it's very visible and wasn't listed. To continue with my personal experience with Cazoo, it's sold with 2 keys. They give me 1 key. Said, where's the other key? They went, it's on the key ring. I said, okay, fine. Thought nothing of that. It doesn't look like it to me. I know what a key looks like. I've owned enough vehicles to understand what a key looks like. What they gave me, saying it was an emergency key only, was a glove box key. So it wasn't an emergency key, it was a glove box key. So they did fix that straight away. They were sorting that. They were very, very helpful on the phone, very polite on the phone as well, which is something you never really get from these sort of companies as a rule. Yeah, sorted. But it was hassle for me. I have to drop the car off to Ford. Cazoo agreed to do an oil change at Ford as well. So fair play to them. We settled on that. It was easier for me to do that than the rest of what I'm going to explain in a little while. I figured I'd just get a nice little service / oil change from them, from main dealer as well, you know, it makes sense. Ford were totally useless. I have to say, put this on there now. Now this is where this goes wrong. So yeah, while this vehicle is at Ford, they take it on a 5-mile test drive, and basically overtake me in it. So I'm driving back home. I got a Jag. I was driving my Jag, and they overtake me in my own car. They've gone out on a road test because they did a service on it, or what I thought, and a key. So apparently they need to test the key or something to do with that. This salesman spill, and yeah, I didn't get an apology. I barely got a reason. They were just fobbing me off onto a load of other things, and they were utterly useless. So Ford in Croydon, crap, utterly crap. I cannot recommend them. They are shit. And yeah, so I get my new key. They didn't unprogram the missing key, which I asked them to do. So it had an extra key programmed for whatever reason, really not helpful. So another experience with Cazoo. In the car, when I first got it, I go under the seat and there's an empty bag of weed and a lighter. So I put this forward to him. I said, look, I'm not fussed about it, but you know, I don't appreciate that. I work for the NHS. So if I get in trouble with that, I work with these things. I can't have a drug conviction on my record, you know what I mean? So like, imagine I get stopped by police and they look under the seat. Oh, it's not mine. I say, you know, looking like this, they wouldn't have it, you know. So I reported to Cazoo. Cazoo told me to report the empty drugs bag to the police. It's a tiny bag, about 20 quid worth. I was like, what? Like, it's laughable. I was like, report it to the police. I say, what will they do? Like, so report it to your local police department. Bearing in mind I live 80 miles away, so I would be walking into a police station going, I found an empty bag of weed in my car 80 miles away. Like, I was stumped. But because of that, they did compensate us and put us, they gave us that oil change. So to make up for a hell of a lot of issues that were wrong with this car when I first got it, like mainly imperfections, paint wise and whatever. So onto another con, the seatbelt. It wants to kill you. It literally wants to kill you all the time. You're leaning around the corner like this and it will secure you to your seat so you cannot move. I've never had a car that is so violent with that. It literally does not let you move. It won't do it now naturally because we're on video, but it's easily the worst seatbelt system I've ever known in a car, ever. It's dreadful. I would say the mirror button. So I have a button that folds the mirrors in and out. For whatever reason in this car, it folds in and out every now and then without you touching the button, which can be a massive pain in the ass when you're trying to actually use them on, say, a motorway. Very annoying. I would say I never, ever, ever get bored of the sound in this car until you experience being able to drive something like this. Oh, honestly, all the time, and it doesn't get old. It literally does not get old. And I can watch my fuel just going like this. I love it. I absolutely love it. So we'll go on to another strange Mustang ownership situation, I guess. So I need some Mustang people to guide me through this. I'm in 5th gear on a private road that it definitely isn't named the M20, and the top speed on the speedo is 160 miles an hour. Now I've hit 160 miles an hour and I was only in 5th gear. Now, there's another gear. How fast are these cars? That it shouldn't go past, I think, 155. I've done absolutely no research to this, so I'll probably, you know, someone will be correcting me, I hope. I do not understand how 160 miles an hour in 5th gear and there's still another gear. So it must have been tuned before my ownership. But yeah, fast car, and it feels stable. The whole way through that, it felt stable. So slowing down was a bit of a squeaky bum time, but we did it. I'm glad I did it. It's the fastest I've ever driven, and yeah, I'm not afraid to say I shat my pants. It was scary at the end. Slowing down. What else we got? You'll see it now. We're going over these bumps. I don't have to slow down for bumps. The ride height is perfect. Like, the ride height is brilliant. The usability of this car every day, as an everyday car, is fantastic. So yeah, the title of my first Mustang video was my dream car, or whatever it was. I buy my dream car, and it was and still is my dream car. Am I disappointed with it in any way? No. Like, there are pros and cons of owning any car. I'm just showing you, I'm highlighting the fact that there are pros and cons to anything. Does it change the fact that it is my dream car? No. It's a fantastic car. So, we will touch upon the subject of fuel. I know that everyone will be, fuel, whatever. Like, it's not that bad. Like, it really isn't. I mean, my Jag did like 10 to the gallon, but this is actually better. You use it on the motorway, it's a doddle. It's actually good. I spoke to a few of the guys and they're like, oh, but the EcoBoost gets you this and that and whatever. Nobody ever in their mind ever goes to sleep dreaming of an EcoBoost anything. Like, there's just no. Nobody wants that car. So I had to buy the 5 litre. I wanted the proper one. Like, you know, you can save money doing whatever, but if you want to save money, go buy something else, like a Fiesta or something. You know, I wanted a Mustang. I got a Mustang. It's fantastic. That leads us on to something that is not so fantastic. The tax. 630 quid, because yay, England. £630 tax. That's insane. That's painful. That is something I don't enjoy. That's not down to the car, that's down to the government. Different subject altogether. Other stuff that I do love about this car, the stereo. The stereo in this car, like, the sat-nav is dreadful and we can't escape that. The stereo is amazing. It's for a factory fitted stereo. I think I had an Audi TT that you might have seen in the Uber videos. That's the only thing that comes close to this. It's brilliant. And loud as hell, you know, no panel rattles, and considering the rest of the build quality of the car, I'm surprised at that. But yeah, that I can safely say a very, very good point for the car. One thing that took me a while to get used to, and I haven't had it since I had an old classic Mini and a Subaru, and that's the only 2 cars that I've ever had this in. Everyone goes around and they all wave at you. Like, all Mustang owners wave at each other, and I was like, what the fuck is this about? And then all of a sudden, you know, I start to put 2 and 2 together. I was like, oh, I remember this from the Subaru and from the Mini. and I was like, oh, right in the feels. But it isn't just Mustangs, it's all American cars wave at each other like some sort of weird cult, and it's actually quite nice. You know, it's quite pleasant. I enjoy it. So as we're pretty much coming to an end in this video, I believe, one thing that you will get all the time in this car, and it is not limited to just this car, it's limited to anything high value or rare or, you know, some sort of unique thing, is the amount of dumb questions that you will inevitably get from everyone ever. Now, you pull up at a petrol station and you will end up in a conversation with a guy that will be like, how's the valve stem, camshaft, seal, belt driven pulley? It's like, fuck off, man, I just bought the car. I leave it out, and it's constant. Like, I've never had to deal with so many nonsense questions about this stuff that they won't even care about. 10 seconds later, they would have forgotten the fucking thing, and then you're stuck. Ugh, it drives you mad. It drives you absolutely mad. Or me, absolutely mad. What else we got? The owners clubs. We'll touch on the owners clubs. In personal experience, they're pretty good. They do their best for you. They got a hell of a... They're more informative than Ford. They know more about these things than Ford. So keep that in mind. If you ever need to know something about a Mustang, ask the owners clubs rather than Fords, because Ford don't like working on them. Ford hate, like, I've been to 2 garages, the Epsom one and the Croydon one, and the Wimbledon one, 3, and they don't like working on these things. They don't like the engine. You know, it takes up a lot of their time. There was one in there when I last went down there. This was to the Croydon one, and they had an engine rebuild, and it was £6 grand. All under warranty, but £6,000. So yeah, they don't like working on them, but that's another thing. As we're driving up this road, I'll tell you a story about pulling onto the motorway, and this got me. I'll give you a comparison as to what I can compare it to personally, on a personal level. I had a 2005 Mustang, left-hand drive, black, beautiful. That was my dream car. It drove like shit. It was rubbish, and massive letdown. Like, but I still loved it. It just crushed the dream a little bit. This thing, in the rain. Other than that Mustang, this is the worst car I've ever driven in the rain ever. It slides everywhere. You put rain mode on, like, to stop you sliding, and I'm pulling onto this motorway at the time, and I'm going in a straight line, not giving it any speed at all, just driving like this, both hands on the wheel. I was at about 60-70 miles an hour pulling onto the motorway there, and it just spins. Any loss of traction on a wheel, like if you hit the paint in the middle of the divide there, you're spinning. Now I'd never experienced that, because my foot wasn't planted to the floor. You just slide. I'd look at my tires thinking, fuck, something's gone wrong with my tires. No, they're all pretty much brand new. Worn in before anyone says, oh, layer of gloss on your tire. Like, no, slid out, like, regained it, but wow, that was a moment. The only other car I can compare it to was another Mustang. So we've all seen the videos of everyone sliding around, or, you know, Mustangs on a straight line, and yeah, they're not good. They are not good. Like, you know, 0 to 60, you check the stats on this thing, it's like, what, 500 horsepower, whatever, and it says 4.7 or something to 60. Realistically, to get it to do 4.7, I don't know what conditions it would need to be in, but 4.7 is a very ambitious target for that car, or for this car, because it won't ever do that. Like, my TT was planted to the floor. It was brilliant. You put your foot down, you're there. Like, that 4-wheel drive system, you are there. In this thing, you will be sliding around for about 2 seconds. It will spin the wheels for the next 2 seconds, and then you'll get to 60 in about 3 more seconds. So it's not as fast as what it tells you it is. And keep that in mind when you're thinking 4.7, it's not a 4.7 second car at all. It's too, you can't control it in that, it's just not that car. You can't put it in any other words really, but the noise that it makes trying to get there makes up for it when you're being beaten by a Golf or God knows what. But yeah, it is still my dream car. But these are the pros and cons of owning this car. That is fuel level low. So yeah, get used to hearing that. Get used to hearing that. Naturally, all right, so lock the car. One thing I have done more than one occasion is walked off, the key's been in my pocket and it's unlocked the windows. So it's been pissing down with rain and my neighbours have knocked on the door or whatever, and they're saying, Bill, your windows are open, like what the fuck? And yeah, the key, for whatever reason, if you push and hold the button on it, it undoes the window. I see no pro, or what is the benefit of that, opening the windows with a key? Like, rubbish. So yeah, that is something I would not like on there. If there's a way to turn that off, that'd be great. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed a bit of a strange video. It's probably the longest I've ever talked to you lot without holding a beer. Walking along or being at a festival. But yeah, it's pros and cons of owning a Mustang. Going back home now. Do not think for a second, like for a second, that I don't know how lucky I am to own that thing. It is a lifelong dream. I got it, and yeah, I couldn't be happier like with that thing. I know how lucky I am. It may sound like I'm moaning away and first world problems and all that sort of stuff, but it's not all plain sailing, it's not all good stuff. I just accept it. And yeah, every time I'm in that thing, I'm smiling away. So yeah, life goal completed. And we'll catch up soon at something else around Halloween. Yeah, we'll see you on after Halloween.